All right, hello and welcome. Let's get started with Go Guardian. This is Samantha Dushare. Just a couple things to note. My cursor is big and red, so it's easier for you to follow. Additionally, whenever there's going to be a video in this presentation, the directions will also be written down in the notes of that slide as well. So if you want written directions, you can do that. Once you have logged in using the link on the slide, you're going to go ahead and log in. I logged in with Google, but you're just logging in with whatever that teacher account is. This is what you are going to see. So here I am in GoGuardian. Notice all your menus are on your left. You have your classrooms, scenes, calendar, student reports, and help. Simple and easy. And this help menu is a responsive chat room that will help you chat with a GoGuardian expert. This is a great place to go if you need help in the moment, like when you're teaching class, because they're very, very quick. The first thing we're going to talk about is this classrooms menu. The classrooms menu is sort of the main brain of GoGuardian. The way that GoGuardian works is you're going to create a class for each of your classes during the day. Okay, any class that you want to have a filter or a scene, as GoGuardian calls them, applied to, you will go ahead and create a class for that. These classes are how you apply the scenes or filters. So, how do you add a class? There are two ways. From this page, both of them are very simple. Your two ways are right here. You have way number one, which is to import a Google Classroom, or way number two, which is just to add a classroom manually. Your easiest way is going to be to import a Google Classroom. I'm going to walk you through that now. All you're going to do is click on this Import Google Classroom button, and it's going to think. And once you give it time to think, you will see that it says import Google Classroom, and it's got all of your classrooms here. So here I can see all of the classrooms that are assigned to this same email. So as long as you're in your school email, you should see all of them. And I would just go ahead and check the ones that I want to import. If I want to import them all, I would just go ahead and hit select all. For this example, I'm going to go ahead and just import this Fly Closer Academy. Then you'll see once you've selected a class, your blue Import Classroom button is highlighted, and you can go ahead and click on that. It's going to think. And then what you'll see is right here, you can now see that under Classrooms, you have this Fly Closer Academy, and it's going to take you to the page that has your students. Okay. Why is this helpful? You need to know where this page is because when students add or drop from your class and they add or drop from your Google Classroom throughout the year, you can come back in here, click on your students menu and hit sync students from Google, and that will prompt it to resync with Google Classroom and update to your new class list. Additionally, when I'm in here, you'll see when I'm under this class, I can see sessions, students, recordings, teachers, and settings. Under sessions, this is going to show me where my reoccurring sessions are, which we will talk about scheduling under calendar. I can also always start a new session just by going ahead and hitting start new session here. I can choose how long the class duration should be, and I can apply one of my scenes or filters, and then I would just hit start session. So sessions lets you start a session. Students shows you the students in the class. Do notice they have a remove button next to them. So if I need to remove any students, I can. Recordings is going to go ahead and show you the recordings that you've made in that class. Teacher shows you who your teacher is. This is where you can add a co-teacher, a paraprofessional, or if you wanted to, you could also go ahead and add an admin. So you would hit this add teacher button, and then you would search by their email and you would hit add teacher. And then they will be able to access this same scene in their GoGuardian account. So when they're in their GoGuardian account, they can access your classes and the different scenes or filters you would apply to them. Under settings, this is where I'll see the settings for this class. Settings are pretty simple. Classroom name, I can add the subject and a description if I want. I can choose what color the tile is going to show up from. I could also hit update to change any of this information. And if this was a classroom from last year, this is where I would find the red button to archive this classroom. So you don't have those classrooms hanging around from last year. Additionally, up here, we've got some stacked menus. We're under info now. If we go ahead and hit on scheduling, you'll see that you can add a schedule. Why would you add a schedule? This is very important. When you're making and applying these filters or scenes to your classes, You're doing it for a time period. So essentially, Go Guardian, you're giving it a time period to reach out and take control over those students' devices. You're going to want to schedule this for the time that you have them in your room during the day. You can set up a schedule. All you got to do is go in here and enter a schedule for one time, like do 1 week, enter your class times for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and just make it recurring. Why do we care enough to set them up for the specific class periods and not just the whole day? I've had a lot of teachers who come to me and say, what if I just put this filter for the whole day? Since this filter applies to that student's account, if they're in another class, they will be bound by that filter. So you want to make sure you're scheduling it for the time when they're with you and not with another teacher, because then your filter would apply to that other teacher's class. Okay? So you're going to want to make sure you have a schedule. Then you have reporting. And reporting is where you can see I've got session report emails enabled. That means that at the end of every session, I get an email report of activity and I see if there was anything alarming that happened during that period, if students were doing something they really shouldn't have been doing. Okay. Now I'm going to go up here and I could either hit on this Classrooms button or the Classrooms menu on the left, and it'll take me back to see my classes. You'll see this is the Fly Closer Academy we just added. So all we'd have to do to access the menus we were just in is just click on this tile. And here you go. This is where you can see my students, my recordings, my teachers, and my settings. I have 2 classes named Fly Closer. So this is the one we were looking at. You can see there's no session schedule. But all you're doing is toggling between these 2 menus. So I'm on the specific menu for this class. And if I go back, I'm on my classroom menu. The last thing for this video is if you wanted to create a classroom the other way, not using Google Classroom, you would do that with this Add Classroom button right here. You would just go ahead and click Add Classroom, and then you're going to go ahead and make a name, a subject, a description, and give it a color. Give it a color, and then click Add Classroom. Same thing, just a little bit different because once I gave it a name, so if I give it a test class name, and I create it, since it's not connecting to Google Classroom, it is not going to automatically upload those students. So you'll see I was prompted. I have 3 ways. I can give them a code and they just enter it in at Google at GoGuardian.com and it will add them automatically. I can add their emails, or I could upload a CSV with their student email addresses as well. All 3 of those ways will pop them into this classroom. Once they are popped in here, and you can click on these buttons to get directions specifically. And once they're popped in here, they're all going to show up and you have all the same menus and the class functions the same way as if you imported it from Google Classroom. This was just a quick overview of what GoGuardian looks like and how to get started by setting up your classes. In the next video, we'll talk about creating scenes.